Adam with Northwest Rally Sports. Today I'm going to show you how to install our non-AVCS oil line kit. Our oil line kits are easily installed using basic hand tools. The kit includes one line, a high flow 10mm banjo, two 10mm copper washers, and two 12mm copper washers. Once we get the intake out, we have to clear a couple of these plugs just to get them out of the way, your front O2 sensor and your exhaust gas temperature sensor. So now that we have our front O2 and EGT unplugged and out of the way, we can go after the up pipe support bracket. Once you get the nut and bolt off that mount the support bracket, you can lift this out. You just need to be careful of the coolant hose and the EGT sensor. This customer has an aftermarket heat shield. Stock heat shields will bolt to this bracket, so sometimes you have to take a 10 off down here where you can see my finger. So that's the bracket right there. Hardware. Now, in some cases, you can get this stock oil line off without removing the coolant hose. In our instructions, it says to remove the coolant hose, but if you can do it without, that can make the job a little easier. Next, I'm going to remove the 10mm bolt that holds the bracket, the stock oil line bracket in place. Then remove your stock Banjo bolt at the top of the turbo. Then go after the 12mm banjo that's located on the back side of the cylinder head. Once you get it loose, then you got to get in there with your fingers and get this guy out of here. And there it is. Sorry, dripping away. So you can see our high flow banjo bolt has a much larger hole than the OE. Plus the OE only has one hole, whereas ours has two. So you'll have a higher consistency of oil flow to your turbo, much more reliable. So for our kit, you need to reuse the stock 12mm banjo bolt located in the backside of the passenger cylinder head. We recommend that you clean this thoroughly with brake cleaner prior to installing it with our kit. Some of these bolts came with a screen located in the middle. You'll be able to see it if you turn it sideways like this. If there is a screen, remove it, then clean the bolt with brake cleaner, then utilizing our kit, install it into the cylinder head. Once I've loaded the OE 12mm banjo bolt with the two new copper washers provided in our kit into the large end of our oil line, we need to feed it down to the oil feed port on the back side of the cylinder head, making sure that we don't drop our crush washers. During this part of the install, it is very important that you do not force the banjo bolt into the cylinder head oil feed port. If the threads are tight, that means you're cross-threaded. Do not force it. You should be able to tighten it using hand strength down to the washers being seated. Additionally, you can see there's a little bit of extra casting right here, and that will cause the line to sit at an upward angle and cause a leak. So you actually have to clock the line slightly at a downward angle like this prior to torquing this bolt. And the torque spec on that Banjo bolt is 25 foot-pounds. It's impossible to get a torque wrench in here, I know, so you have to do the best you can to approximate 25 foot-pounds. Do not over torque it, do not cross thread it. If you do, you will incur a lot more very expensive repairs. The head will have to come off to fix that, so please do not do that. Feels like 25 foot-pounds to me. Take the Banjo bolt provided in our kit with the two 10mm washers. Load a washer and a Banjo bolt through one side. Get the other copper washer in place and center it over the feed port to the top of the turbo. Once you get the 10mm high flow Banjo and copper washer in the line, and you get your other copper washer down in place down below, you want to try and get your socket on your Banjo bolt and slightly twist to get it to clock correctly. Once you get the oil line Banjo bolt seated, then you want to make sure it's centered here so it's not hitting the bracket for the wastegate solenoid nor leaning up against the turbo exhaust housing. Torque spec on this is 12 foot-pounds. Line's in. Now we can go back in with the support bracket. Plug your sensors back in. If you forget to plug these in, you turn the key on, you will trigger a check engine light. That will need to be cleared. If you have a cob access port, you can clear it using that. Otherwise, you'd have to get to a shop. So that's the install, pretty quick and easy. If you have any questions about the install or if you'd like to order a kit, just give us a call or email. Thanks very much.